Mikekingbiz, the premier business media brand covering and connecting Central Virginia. It's home to Mikekingbiz Radio, producer of On the Mic with Mike RVA, which airs on ESPN Richmond 106.1 FM, The Choice 105.3 FM, and worldwide on IBGR.network. Follow Mikekingbiz for the best business-ish content in RV.
You are the master at networking. Why is that important?
Well, in Richmond, I think that networking face-to-face as much as you can or over virtual is a way to meet people. Not so much cold calling where you don't really know somebody and it's just a phone. I still do that, but it's more effective to see people face-to-face. There's so much that happens when you're out connecting with people that you just don't get when you're trying to email somebody and connect only that way. Richmond is a networking town. We like to network. We like to see each other in person. Thank goodness the pandemic has at least slowed down a lot so we can do this more. And that's made a difference.
All righty. So the groups that you're affiliated with, you're the MC of the event this week.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, how long did it take you to accept that right there? I don't think it took you long.
As soon as Daniel asked me, I said yes. I mean, I need to think about it.
So the chamber, we always talk about the chamber stuff. People get worried about, I am not going to get out of, I want the chamber to make magic happen for me. Peter, you work chamber events, you work networking events. Explain to a person who feels like they didn't get out of the chamber what they thought they were going to. Danielle, we'll start with you first.
Yeah.
This is your soapbox, ma'am.
Well, I tend to ask people, what did you do? What did you do? And then who is your target customers? Who are you trying to get in front of? We have on staff a person who is dedicated just to member relations, and their job is to help you find the right inroad. But if you took the wrong road, then you might be off the cliff somewhere or down in the bushes. So we work really hard with the members to give them a roadmap of things we think, based on the information they've given us, that would be helpful for them to grow their business. Now, that being said, we can only give them the map. We show them the water. They've got to drink it.
That conversation.
I like that. That's one of your good ones.
You got to drink it. So, there are opportunities. I'm not going to say opportunities for everyone. There are opportunities, but you have to grab hold of the opportunities so they don't pass you by.
One of the things, Peter, you're a salesman like I am. It's hard to be pressed to find somebody that the chamber doesn't work for. I mean,
that's true.
What business are you doing that there's not a person there who can introduce me to someone else or help me get somewhere?
Not a lot. And that's really the key is once, in Richmond, people buy from people they like and trust.
Yes.
And through networking, just like Daniel was saying, that what are we giving out? Well, for me, I like to, when people ask me, how can I connect to more at events, is what sort of energy are you giving out? Because we're all responsible for our own energy, for the sphere around us. I'm going to get all metaphysical on you here. I'm going to get all,
there you go.
But it's true. It's something that I have studied for over 10 years is the energy that we all exude in person. So it can start with the face, smile, and it is a lot of body language, things that I teach groups about how to read body language and how to know people, not even by what they say, but by their body language alone. So energy.
A fighter, and a dreamer, and full-time making ends meter. Early riser with a nudge. High school struggler, and now college achiever surrounded by believers. Quick learner and little timer. But I'll make the time. And with my degree, I will give of my time. What's your and?
I know you see me on the video.
Mikekingbiz.
You heard me on the radio.
Mikekingbiz. The leading voice of the business ecosystem in Richmond and all across VA is Mikekingbiz. Mikekingbiz. Check out the king of RVA Business Talk on ESPN Richmond 106.1 FM, Choice 105.3 FM, and now on CW Richmond TV. Mikekingbiz.
Have you seen since the pandemic, have you seen people more open-minded when it comes to getting help these days? What's your view on that?
I think when kids and families come to me, they're at their last straw. But I think with a heightened level of kids and adolescents and families coming in, there is a level of more openness to whatever it takes, whatever you got. I'm open to anything. We've tried everything. I don't typically see kids that come in at the beginning, not at this level. I always get them at their last straw. Like, we've tried everything and nothing's working anymore. And I see a more of a heightened level of that. Sometimes we get kids that are just entering care, and then DSS workers are like, we just got this kid, we don't know anything. Can you assess and gather information so we all know the next stage? I have been seeing more of that as well, because DSS workers are really trying to figure out what's going to be the best placement for this kid, what's going to help this kid the most. I've been seeing a heightened level of that as well.
How do you set the good culture in your organization for teamwork and working with people? I ask leaders that all the time.
You know, I think for me, I do it by example. I'm really good at having conversations when I see things that are inappropriate. I'm also really good with just having communication with a lot of the staff that on different levels, on different departments. We also recently just got these shirts on for clinical, where it's like bridging the gap, meaning like communicating amongst departments and making sure that it's concise and everyone's on the same page. I think we do pretty good when it comes to providing information from the bottom all the way to the top. And I think that is just your day-to-day interaction. Like, that's a part of your duties as a provider, that everyone needs to have some type of communication. That's internally and even externally.
Helping folks understand the difference between disordered eating and eating disorders.
Okay, hold up a second now. Okay, come on. Okay, all right, Doc. Here you go. The floor is yours.
Yeah.
So there are lots of different types of eating disorders. Not all of them are as popular, as understood.
Okay, so the general people, including me, we know too.
Right.
Anorexia and bulimia.
Yes.
Don't know the difference between them, but
Right.
we just know they both are bad.
Right. They both cause a lot of emotional, behavioral, and medical issues. Yes, correct.
So it's eating disorders, and what's the other part to it?
Well, there's a difference between disordered eating and eating disorders.
Right.
Please explain.
Yeah.
So typically we would characterize disordered eating as, someone who is maybe not clinically, at that point. So, we might have some disordered eating. Maybe sometimes we binge eat, eat a large quantity of food in a short period of time because we're stressed, but it doesn't reach the level of clinical need, or maybe we restrict sometimes when we're uncomfortable in our bodies, that sort of thing. But when it becomes persistent and chronic, and it's associated with a lot of negative emotions and behaviors and thoughts, then that's when it can become more clinical, and that's when we need professional support.
Eating disorder, is that a young person's?
Not
You're shaking your head, no.
Not necessarily. No, you can we have some very young children that have struggled with it, 7, 8 years old. I'm sure there's younger than that. And there's even people in their, middle-aged that struggle with eating disorders.
So they're going along, and like, how does that turn into a eating disorder?
Mm-hmm.
Is it some type of mental issue, or because you're going along and all of a sudden maybe you start binging and purging and doing all those things that people are not sure about, but you're 40 years old?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So we don't know the cause of it, but it is, we think, a biopsychosocial cultural components to it. So genetics and heredity can be a big issue. There's also the psychological component of like perfectionism and anxiety disorders. And even for ARFID, which is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, kids on the autism spectrum can be, be more proposed to that. So also social issues, weight stigmas and acculturation issues, body ideal in our society, trauma, all kinds of things can contribute. And we think that all of those things combined.
So when a parent or family or friends, they see a person and maybe that person doesn't think that they have an issue or a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We always see those where they stage intervention or whatever. How do we convince a person, unless it's our child, then we just scoop them up and take them.
Right.
We just take them there. How do we convince a family member to really, okay, you need some help?
Yeah. There's some great tips out there. The National Eating Disorder Association, or NEDA, has a parent guide and a tips handbook for what to do. But basically it's, expressing your concern in facts, right? Like, hey, I saw this. I see that your weight is going down. I notice, that you're going to the bathroom a lot. I notice that you're counting your calories. I notice, these certain things, or that maybe you've, stopped eating certain food groups. And being very factual, letting them know that you're concerned, trying to help get them resources. I think that person needs to do a lot of research first to understand eating disorders, but trying not to be judgmental, helping them feel comfortable seeking out support, being willing to go with them to appointments and help them in that way. But, sometimes people are going to be a little bit defensive at first, not going to want to acknowledge the problem. We have to be prepared for that and, keep giving them that support and let them know you're ready.
Mikekingbiz, on the mic with Mike, Richmond's premier business radio platform. Make it move.
Judging how you judge it, say we going corporate. Nah, we just corner boys with the corner office. I'm at the cap table, what the splits is. Not that cap table, boy, we live this.
Promoting how business can make the community better. No one does it better than Mikekingbiz, on the mic with Mike. Check it out.
Okay, so Dr. Danni, you're always good for dropping big things on me. And things are eye-opening. It's the month of women business and all that. Tons of women businesses opening, celebrating, tons of women doing some really great things. A lot of big numbers in business. Let's go talk about it. It's sobering what you just told me a little while ago. Ooh, yes. All right, so drop that on us again. So when you hear about women opening business, all these women business owners, women are just out there killing it, doing all those things.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
So let's start with the good news.
Yes, the good news.
The good news is that if we would look somewhere around 13 to 14 years ago, we are talking about a parabolic increase in the number of women-owned business. Okay. And those leading the bunch are women of color, particularly African-American women. So where we might have had, maybe 1 million, there's now 11.6 million women-owned businesses in America.
A big number.
Big number.
A very big number.
Yes.
A very big
number.
Big
number.
That's the good news.
That's some good news. They account for somewhere on the order of $1.7 trillion of economic impact.
Okay.
It sounds like a big number.
That's still a big number.
But when you take the dollars and you divide it by the numbers of businesses, you come up with something on the order of $149,000 in annual revenue.
150 grand, basically.
150 grand. Mm-hmm. And so
now you said to get to that 150 grand of average, you got to have some bigger numbers.
Right.
But you're saying that a good portion of that falls on the lower line.
Correctly. So a good portion of that falls way below the line. And if you remember, one of the facts that I gave is that the lion's share of those new business starts, the rate of new business starts are exploded with African-American women-owned businesses. And yet the average minority woman-owned business is below $25,000.
Okay, so now that's going to go back to another point that you make on a regular basis. We come from parents and other folks who believe in OPM, using other people's money.
Other people's money.
But you're saying a lot of times those women are going two places. One, they're dipping into the pocketbook to get the money, or either they're doing this number.
Out the bra.
Exactly. Here you go. Pulling out the money out of their own personal stash.
Yeah. So on average, less than 25% of women ever use money outside of their own bank account. And so what that means is those businesses tend to grow slower. They probably, if you look at a 3-year realm, like it's a 3-year window, they tend to go out of business at a higher rate because they're trying to do so much with so little. And the point that I really want to make, Mike, is that the time to go and get money is early on. If you've got a good year or two of business under your belt and you've been responsible that you have a growing revenue line, the time to get a line of credit or to get other people's money is then, not when you're in trouble and now your credit is bad.
Because that money is going to cost you more if you can get it.
If you can get it, it's going to cost you more. And so this idea of grant money, all of that sounds good, cute, and sexy, but there's not a lot of that out there. And there's some money that you can get. And during ENC, which is the Executive Networking Conference hosted by the National Institute of Minority Economic Development, that is going to be happening in Pinehurst the second week in August. There's going to be a section that the WBC Richmond is sponsoring in conjunction with our partners at AARP. Good afternoon, Felicia Brown from AARP. Yes, she is on our council, our business council, but they're sponsoring it because they're going to be talking about crowdfunding, angel funding, and things of that nature, which is another thing that women and take part in very, very sparingly. Less than 1% of venture capital's money go into a minority firm.
One of the things, the whole crowdfunding, that source of financing right there, I think we as minorities look at it kind of skeptical. But the idea that somebody's going to angel invest in you is even more remote than you getting money from strangers.
And my argument is we need to be thinking about those things that not just celebrate people getting in business. We need to not just survive COVID and just business in general. We need to start thriving. And thriving requires that we have a bigger economic footprint and a bigger economic imprint or impact, as I would say. And those things require us to be more strategic than tactical, which is one of the challenges that women and minority small-owned firms. And I usually steer away from the small word. I'm just going to have to put that out there, particularly in our service area, the Commonwealth of Virginia. The definition for a small business is big.
It's big. Yeah, when you start talking about, and even when I talk to Carl Knobloch from SBA or Martin Short, they're kind of like, boy, for a small business, those don't sound small.
Correct.
And that's different than the one person shop, the solopreneur making whatever. And then you start talking about a place with 50 employees. Mm-hmm. That's a difference.
Right. So just to put some information out there, today is an information day. Dr. Danni is just going to be dropping little facts. Please pay attention. You'll hear them again, but it's important to know because this is a day of advocacy, connecting, and engaging. When we think about what it means to define a small business, we have a different definition. So when someone says, and I'm gonna throw this in there because I'm random about some things. Let me just say this. If someone say affordable housing or small business, make sure you ask for their definition because affordable housing varies based on, and a small business is in the state of Virginia, if you make less than $10 million,
10 million.
10. If you have less than 250 employees, 250. And it's not, and it's or. So if I have 300 employees and I make less than $10 million, guess what I am?
You're a small business.
I'm a small business.
I say to people when they say it, I'm a small business when I need to be.
Correct.
Then there are times that is I'm just a business owner.
Yes.
And
That's exactly
That's
right.
it.
Because all of those little definitions can be relative. And so it's important to put a pin in it that the businesses that we're talking about, the underserved, the women owned, a lot of times we sometimes call them micro business, but they're like nano, smaller than, that particle that's nano business compared to the size of some of these construction opportunities that's coming through the pike, the diamond district stuff, all of that. You are sometimes not on the radar, and we need to change that perspective. We want to be a vehicle for advocating the just perspective around small businesses until Virginia decides to change that and recognize what a real small business, because I just want to tell you this. A lot of us know companies, Owens & Minor, Dominion, and Philip Morris and Altria. 99.5% of the businesses in the Commonwealth of Virginia are defined as small. That's a problem. That's a challenge. I ain't gonna say problem. That's a challenge.
When your revenue is 32,000 and 95% of the other businesses in the state are small businesses, and they're making 150, not 1,000, 150 million.
Used to make do, and now I'm making a name for myself and my family. I've got no room for discouragement, only encouragement, and I'm being taught business like it's nobody's business, at home and in class. And hold the door, please, because this elevator's going straight up. What's your and?
How do you get your workforce to be engaged? What method we need to use? What leadership, in fact, we need to put in place to harvest the benefit of diversity, to harvest the benefit of the skill set that the people have. And so right now, when you have people in mass and large numbers that's not putting forth effort, it can be dangerous to a business and spill over nationally to our whole economy.
When we're coming out of the pandemic now, but what's the state of business when you start to, we're coming to you from Bryan and Stratton right now. What is the state of business? How do you see the business landscape?
I see it as recovering in a sense that, we've lost some oomph. People are reevaluating, do they really want to come out of their house to go back into the workplace to work? A couple of things I feel that employers need to still offer telecommute, allow people to work from home. They still can be just as productive. It's very important that, and I'll tell you this story that as relates to the pandemic, the effects it have had, supply chain disruption. I ordered a new dining room set. It's taken me 2 years with dealing with two different companies. That finally, I just got the complete set 2 weeks ago. And so I'm saying, what is this? Is this crazy or what? So a lot of businesses, regardless of what the label or the type of business, have been impacted. And I think we're yet recovering. But I have found out in life that whenever there's a major challenge that any nation or any economy face, there are great opportunities for those that are that sharp and those who know how to identify opportunities and to really survey their environment, looking for opportunities, not excuses not to perform, but now it is what it is. What can I do to thrive, to move forward?
I decided to get into real estate because I wanted to be able to provide a legacy for my family and also be able to be there as my children grow up. I am able to now provide flexibility within my schedule and also be present for my clients. My name is Nicole Reed with Nicole Reed Real Estate and Associates, and I help individuals and businesses buy, sell, and invest in real estate. We believe that everybody deserves to build a legacy for their family and build generational wealth, and we believe that it can be done through real estate. Being in the top 1% in the state of Virginia of realtors and 5% nationally, my clients can rest assured that they have someone that is educated and very diverse within the marketplace. We want to make sure that we're looking and paying attention to every single detail when it comes to the transaction process and make sure that they feel comfortable and secure about making a decision, whether they're buying a home or selling a home. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, whether it's in Virginia or any state in between, make sure you call Nicole Reed Real Estate and Associates. Real estate redefined.
silver is gold, but I was young and I left it in the cold. Ooh. Now it's time for me to rebel, loving me now that I'm healed. Maybe one day new love will come around, but I'm not gonna sit here doing nothing. It's time to make my own fairy tale. This kind of love that starts with loving me, the kind of love that makes you want to believe. You have to be your own dream girl, your own dream boy. So now it's time for me to rebuild the love in me. Now that I'm healed, baby, one day new love will come around. But I'm not gonna sit here and doing nothing. It's time to make my own fairy tale, fairy tale. Ooh, love yourself. Ooh, no one else. Ooh, love yourself. Ooh, before you can love anyone else, anyone else. And it's time for me to rebuild the love in me. Now that I'm here, baby, one day new love will come around. But I'm not gonna sit here and do nothing. It's time to make my own fairy tale, fairy tale. Fairy tale. Fairy
Mikekingbiz, on the mic with Mike, Richmond's premier business radio platform.
Making moves. Judge it how you judge it, say we going corporate. Nah, we just corner boys with the corner office. I'm at the cap table, what the splits is. Not that cap table, boy, we live this.
Promoting how business can make the community better.